Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachya Deshatarine. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gauda Bhaktivinoda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gauda Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hari Hari Bo.
Kala brought me all kinds of gifts. Water. Dupe. Cyflora. Trail mix. Hare Krishna. And a peacock feather he found, a small one for the deities.
Uh,
Krishna.
uh,
Thank you, Kala. When we have Bhakta C, who I greeted earlier before recording, but we're happy to have you here, Prabhu, and Bhakta Adam. I feel like I haven't seen you in forever. We didn't do the reading yesterday.
yeah.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so we're starting chapter 8 today. I'm going to close the door. It's going to open itself again because it doesn't latch. Sorry for the angle. I'm bound to the wall by a charging cord. So we're going to start chapter 8, Prayers by Queen Kunti. Parikshit saved.
Good job.
So if you'd like, please repeat for the invocation here. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Oh,
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam namaskritya narang chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet Shrinvatam swakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana hridyantasto yabhadrani vidunoti sahrit satam Nashtaprayashvabhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Prayers by Queen Kunti and Parikshit saved. Text 1. Sutta uvacha atate sambharitanam swanam udakam ischyatam datum sakrishna gangayam puruskritya yayushtriyaha. Sutta Goswami said, Thereafter the Pandavas, desiring to deliver water to the dead relatives who had desired it, went to the Ganges with Draupadi. The ladies walked in front. Purport. Today it is the custom in Hindu society to go to the Ganges or any other sacred river to take bath when death occurs in the family. Each of the family members pours out a pot full of the Ganges water for the departed soul and walks in a procession, with the ladies in front. The Pandavas also followed the rules more than 5,000 years ago. Lord Krishna, being a cousin of the Pandavas, was also amongst the family members. Tenini yodakam sarve vilapya cha prasham punaha apluta haripadabja rajaputta sarijjale. Having lamented over them and sufficiently offered Ganges water, they bathed in the Ganges, whose water is sanctified due to being mixed with the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. Tatrashinam kurupatim dhritarastram sahanujam Gandharim putra shokhartam pratam krishnam chamadavaha. There sat the king of the Kurus, Maharaj Yudhisthira, along with his younger brothers and Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, Kunti, and Draupadi, all overwhelmed with grief. Lord Krishna was also there. Report. The battle of Kurukshetra was fought between family members, and thus all affected persons were also family members like Maharaj Yudhisthira and brothers, Kunti, Draupadi, Subhadra, Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, and her daughters-in-law, and so on. All the principal dead bodies were in some way or other related with each other, and therefore the family grief was combined. Lord Krishna was also one of them as a cousin of the Pandavas and nephew of Kunti, as well as brother of Subhadra, and so on. The Lord therefore was equally sympathetic toward all of them, and therefore he began to pacify them befittingly. Santvayam asamuni bir hatabandun sucharapitan bhuteshu kalasya kitim darshayana pratikriyam. Citing the stringent laws of the Almighty and their reactions upon living beings, Lord Sri Krishna and the Munis began to pacify those who were shocked and affected. Purport. The stringent laws of nature, under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, cannot be altered by any living entity. The living entities are eternally under the subjugation of the Almighty Lord. The Lord makes all the laws and orders, and these laws and orders are generally called dharma or religion. No one can create any religious formula. Bona fide religion is to abide by the orders of the Lord. Bo Navneet Prabhu is back.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Nice to have you. Hope everything is well.
Yep.
We are in Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, and in the purport of Text 4, Prayers of Queen Kunti.
Haribo.
It's just getting juicy.
Oh, nice.
It came at the right, perfect time.
Oh, all right.
Hare Krishna. Okay. The Lord's orders are clearly declared in the Bhagavad Gita. Everyone should follow him only, or his orders, and that will make all happy, both materially and spiritually. As long as we are in the material world, our duty is to follow the orders of the Lord. And if by the grace of the Lord we are liberated from the clutches of the material world, then in our liberated stage also we can render transcendental loving service unto the Lord. In our material stage we can see neither ourselves nor the Lord for want of spiritual vision. But when we are liberated from material affection and are situated in our original spiritual form, we can see both ourselves and the Lord face to face. Mukti means to be reinstated in one's original spiritual status after giving up the material conception of life. Therefore, human life is specifically meant for qualifying ourselves for the spiritual liberty. Unfortunately, under the influence of illusory material energy, we accept this spot life of only a few years as our permanent existence, and thus become illusioned by possessing so many so-called country, home, land, children, wife, community, wealth, and so on. There's a lot going on. Hare Krishna. All kinds of... I'll start that sentence again. There's two sentences back. Therefore, human life is specifically meant for qualifying ourselves for this spiritual liberty. Unfortunately, under the influence of illusory material energy, we accept this spot life of only a few years as our permanent existence, and thus become illusioned by possessing so-called country, home, land, children, wife, community, wealth, and so on, which are false representations created by Maya, illusion. And under the dictation of Maya, we fight with one another to protect these false possessions. By cultivating spiritual knowledge, we can realize that we have nothing to do with all this material paraphernalia. Then, at once, we become free from material attachment. This clearance of the misgivings of material existence at once takes place by association with the Lord's devotees, who are able to inject the transcendental sound into the depths of the bewildered heart, and thus make one practically liberated from all lamentation and illusion. That's crazy. I'll read it again. This clearance of the misgivings of material existence at once takes place by association with the Lord's devotees, who are able to inject the transcendental sound into the depths of the bewildered heart, and thus make one practically liberated from all lamentation and illusion. That is a summary of the pacifying measures for those affected by the reaction of stringent material laws, exhibited in the forms of birth, death, old age, and disease, which are insoluble factors of material existence. The victims of war, namely the family members of the Kurus, were lamenting the problems of death, and the Lord pacified them on the basis of knowledge. Saddayitva jata shatro swam rajyam katavairhatam gatayitva sato ragya kachasparsha kshitayushaha. The clever Duryodhana and his party cunningly usurped the kingdom of Yudhisthira, who had no enemy. By the grace of the Lord, the recovery was executed, and the unscrupulous kings who joined with Duryodhana were killed by him. Others also died, their duration of life having decreased for their rough handling of the hair of Queen Draupadi. Purport. In the glorious days, or before the advent of the age of Kali, the Brahmanas, the cows, the women, the children, and the old men were properly given protection. This was in class this morning also, in New Vrindavan. 1. The protection of the Brahmanas maintains the institution of Varna and Ashram, the most scientific culture for attaining spiritual life. 2. The protection of cows maintains the most miraculous form of food, that is milk, for maintaining the finer tissues of the brain for understanding higher aims of life. The protection of women maintains the chastity of society, by which we can get a good generation for peace, tranquility, and progress of life. 4. The protection of children gives the human form of life its best chance to prepare the way of liberty from material bondage. Such protection of children begins from the very day of beginning a child by the purificatory process of Garbhadan Sanskar, the beginning of pure life. 5. The protection of the old men gives them a chance to prepare themselves for better life after death. This complete outlook is based on factors leading to successful humanity as against the civilization of polished cats and dogs. The killing of the above-mentioned innocent creatures is totally forbidden because even by insulting them, one loses one's duration of life. In the age of Kali, they are not properly protected, and therefore the duration of life of the present generation has shortened considerably. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that when the women become unchaste for want of proper protection, there are unwanted children called Varna Shankar. To insult a chaste woman means to bring about disaster in the duration of life. Dushasana, a brother of Duryodhana, insulted Draupadi, an ideal chaste lady, and therefore the miscreants died untimely. These are some of the stringent laws of the Lord mentioned above. Yajayitva swamedhaistam trabir uttamakalpakai tadyasha pavanam dikshu shatamanyor ivatanot. Lord Sri Krishna caused 3 well-performed Ashwamedha Yagyas, horse sacrifices, to be conducted by Maharaj Yudhisthira, and thus caused his virtuous fame to be glorified in all directions, like that of Indra, who had performed 100 such sacrifices. Purport. This is something like the preface to the performances of Ashwamedha Yajna by Maharaj Yudhisthira. The comparison of Maharaj Yudhisthira to the King of Heaven is significant. The King of Heaven is thousands and thousands of times greater than Maharaj Yudhisthira in opulence, yet the fame of Maharaj Yudhisthira was not less. The reason is that Maharaj Yudhisthira was a pure devotee of the Lord, and by his grace only was King Yudhisthira on the level of the King of Heaven, even though he performed only 3 yajnas, whereas the King of Heaven performed hundreds. That is the prerogative of the devotee of the Lord. The Lord is equal to everyone, but a devotee of the Lord is more glorified because he is always in touch with the All-Great. The sun rays are equally distributed, but still there are some places which are always dark. This is not due to the sun, but to the receptive power. Similarly, those who are cent% devotees of the Lord get the full-fledged mercy of the Lord, which is always equally distributed everywhere. The receptive power. Amantrya panduputrangscha sanayodhava sangyutaha Dvaipayanadibir viprai pujitai pratipujataha. Lord Sri Krishna then prepared for his departure. He invited the sons of Pandu, after having been worshipped by the Brahmanas, headed by Srila Vyasadeva. The Lord also reciprocated greetings. Purport. Apparently, Lord Sri Krishna was a Kshatriya and was not worshipable by the Brahmanas. But the Brahmanas present there, headed by Srila Vyasadeva, all knew him to be the personality of Godhead, and therefore they worshipped him. The Lord reciprocated the greetings just to honor the social order that a Kshatriya is obedient to the orders of the Brahmanas. Although Lord Sri Krishna was always offered the respects due to the Supreme Lord from all responsible quarters, the Lord never deviated from the customary usages between the 4 orders of society. The Lord purposely observed all these social customs so that others would follow him in the future. Kantum kritamatir brahman dvarakam ratam astataha upalebhe bhidha vantim utaram bhaya vivalam. As soon as he seated himself on the chariot to start for Dwarka, he saw Uttara hurrying toward him in fear. Report. All the members of the family of the Pandavas were completely dependent on the protection of the Lord, and therefore the Lord protected all of them in all circumstances. The Lord protects everyone, but one who depends completely upon him is especially looked after by the Lord. The father is more attentive to the little son who is exclusively dependent on the father. I'll read that last one again. The father is more attentive to the little son who is exclusively dependent on the father. Uttara uvacha pahi pahi mahayogin deva deva jagatpate nanyam dvara bhayam pashe yatra mrityu parasparam. Uttara said, O Lord of Lords, Lord of the universe, you are the greatest of mystics. Please protect me, for there is no one else who can save me from the clutches of death in this world of duality. Report. This material world is the world of duality, in contrast with the oneness of the absolute realm. The world of duality is composed of matter and spirit, whereas the absolute world is complete spirit without any tinge of the material qualities. In the dual world, everyone is falsely trying to become the master of the world, whereas in the absolute world, the Lord is the absolute Lord, and all others are his absolute servitors. In the world of duality, everyone is envious of all others, and death is inevitable due to the dual existence of matter and spirit. The Lord is the only shelter of fearlessness for the surrendered soul. One cannot save himself from the cruel hands of death in the material world without having surrendered himself at the lotus feet of the Lord. Cruel death. It's coming. Text 10. Abhidravati mam isha sharastapta yasho vibho kamam dahatu mam nata mame garabo nipatyatam. O my Lord, you are all-powerful. A fiery iron arrow is coming towards me fast. My Lord, let it burn me personally, if you so desire, but please do not let it burn and abort my embryo. Please do me this favor, my Lord. Purport. This incident took place after the death of Abhimanyu, the husband of Uttara. Abhimanyu's widow, Uttara, should have followed the path of her husband. But because she was pregnant, and Maharaj Parikshit, a great devotee of the Lord, was lying in the embryo, she was responsible for his protection. The mother of a child has a great responsibility in giving all protection to the child, and therefore Uttara was not ashamed to express this frankly before Lord Krishna. Uttara was the daughter of a great king, the wife of a great hero, and student of a great devotee. And later she was the mother of a good king also. She was fortunate in every respect. Sutta uvacha upadarya vachastasya bhagavan bhaktavatsalah apandavam idam kartum droner astram abudhyata. Sutta Goswami said, having patiently heard her words, Lord Sri Krishna, who is always very affectionate to his devotees, could at once understand that Ashwatthama, the son of Dronacharya, had thrown the Brahmastra to finish the last life in the Pandava family. Purport. The Lord is impartial in every respect, but still he is inclined towards his devotees because there is a great necessity of this for everyone's well-being. The Pandava family was a family of devotees, and therefore the Lord wanted them to rule the world. That was the reason he vanquished the rule of the company of Duryodhana and established the rule of Maharaj Yudhisthira. Therefore, he also wanted to protect Maharaj Parikshit, who was lying in embryo. He did not like the idea that the world should be without the Pandavas, the ideal family of devotees. Tarivata Muni Shrestha Pandava Panchasayakan Atmano Bimukan Diptan Alakshastran Upadaduhu. O foremost among the great thinkers, Munis, Chanaka, seeing the glaring Brahmastra proceeding towards them, the Pandavas took up their 5 respective weapons. Purport. The Brahmastras are finer than the nuclear weapons. Ashwatthama discharged the Brahmastra simply to kill the Pandavas, namely the 5 brothers headed by Maharaj Yudhisthira and their only grandson who was lying within the womb of Uttara. Therefore, the Brahmastra, more effective and finer than the atomic weapons, was not as blind as the atomic bombs. When the atomic bombs are discharged, they do not discriminate between the target and others. Mainly, the atomic bombs do harm to the innocent because there is no control. The Brahmastra is not like that. It marks out the target and proceeds accordingly without harming the innocent. Vyasanam vikchatatesham ananya vishayatmanam sudarshanena swastrena swanam raksham yadhad vibhu. The Almighty Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, having observed that a great danger was befalling his unalloyed devotees, who were fully surrendered souls, at once took up his Sudarshan disc to protect them. Purport. The Brahmastra, the supreme weapon released by Ashwatthama, was something similar to the nuclear weapon, but with more radiation and heat. This Brahmastra is the product of a more subtle science, being the product of a finer sound, a mantra, recorded in the Vedas. Another advantage of this weapon is that it is not blind like the nuclear weapon, because it can be directed only to the target and nothing else. Ashwatthama released the weapon just to finish all the male members of Pandu's family. Therefore, in one sense, it was more dangerous than the atomic bombs because it could penetrate even the most protected place and would never miss the target. Knowing all this, Lord Sri Krishna at once took up his personal weapon to protect his devotees, who did not know anyone other than Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has clearly promised that his devotees are never to be vanquished, and he behaves according to the quality or degree of the devotional service rendered by the devotees. Here the word Ananya Vishayatmanam is significant. The Pandavas were 100% dependent on the protection of the Lord, although they were all great warriors themselves. But the Lord neglects even the greatest warriors and also vanquishes them in no time. When the Lord saw that there was no time for the Pandavas to counteract the Brahmastra of Ashwatthama, he took up his weapon even at the risk of breaking his own vow. Although the battle of Kurukshetra was almost finished, still, according to his vow, he should not have taken up his own weapon. But the emergency was more important than the vow. He is better known as the Bhakta Vatsal, or the lover of his devotee, and thus he preferred to continue as Bhakta Vatsal than to be a worldly moralist who never breaks his solemn vow. Hare Krishna. Any conversation points or realizations or anything at this junction?
It just shows that how much Krishna loves us, that he chooses to be the lover of bhaktas.
Nice point, Prabhuji. Bhakta Vatsala. Bhaja Bhakta Vatsala Shri Gauda Hari. Bhaja Bhakta Vatsala Shri Gauda Hari. Shri Gauda Hari. So he goes to Bihari. Nanda Yashomati Chittari. It's a great bhajan. Yeah, Krishna, he made a promise, and as soon as the instant his devotee was in some danger, he just forget that. Forget that. I'm protect my devotee. That's awesome. It's natural.
Yeah,
And even
inspires me.
understandable. By those who even maybe whoever he made the promise to, they're like, yeah, can't blame them. And something else, Prabhuji?
It actually inspires me to chant because Krishna comes whenever his bhaktas call. So it inspires me to chant and call him more, so he may come and save us from the cycle of birth and death.
Right. Nice, Prabhuji. Yeah, and then there was this statement in the purport also. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has clearly promised that his devotees are never to be vanquished. And he behaves according to the quality or degree of the devotional service rendered by the devotees. Yeah, so it's like, it is very inspiring. Makes me want to chant too, because I mean, we may, as devotees, we may experience some reciprocation as it is, wherever we are already situated. But then the more we do, you just keep getting more and more reciprocation. And it keeps getting better and better. It's like snowballing, as we move forward.
Not to mention, we'll never be vanquished, as it just said. The devotees will never be vanquished.
Yeah. Krishna says, declare it boldly.
Jai.
Yeah, in other words, have confidence in this.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, some conviction. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Krishna can do anything. Even if we're out and something happens, and even if death is thrust upon us. There's so many stories we have heard of devotees even who gotten themselves into a situation and were maybe just this close to death, and then somehow Krishna intervened to protect them. Or, I've heard stories of like people who passed away, but like their heart stopped before something happened that would have killed them, and they died before they would have died. That kind of thing. Krishna can just whoop, just take you, or make it totally painless, or unlimited in unlimited ways. It's like, we may not know how our own death may take place, but we can have confidence that Krishna is going to reciprocate, and not that we do it in the mood of like a business transaction, but at the same time, it just further glorifies the Lord. Like, I already like Krishna. Krishna's already really nice, and on top of that, he reciprocates more and more. Anyway, Hare Krishna. Any other points?
Well, because it's the Rama Navami season, I also have an example of Lord Ramachandra. He built a bridge over the entire ocean for Sita Ma.
And you're presenting this as an example of his love for his associates, devotees.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice point, Prabhuji. Yeah, and not only himself, but he took the help of so many devotees also. The devotees showed how much also the devotees love each other and the Lord. And of course, Sita is not like an ordinary devotee, but still, nice point, Prabhuji. I'll read another one at least. I know nobody wants it to end. Alright, text 14. Antasta sarva bhutanam atmayogeshvaro harihi swamaya vranod garbham vairatya kurutantave. The Lord of Supreme Mysticism, Sri Krishna, resides within everyone's heart as the Paramatma. As such, just to protect the progeny of the Kuru dynasty, he covered the embryo of Uttara by his personal energy. Purport. The Lord of Supreme Mysticism can simultaneously reside within everyone's heart or even within the atoms by his Paramatma feature, his plenary portion. Therefore, from within the body of Uttara, he covered the embryo to save Maharaj Parikshit and protect the progeny of Maharaj Kuru, of whom King Pandu was also a descendant. Both the sons of Dhritarashtra and those of Pandu belonged to the same dynasty of Maharaj Kuru. Therefore, both of them were generally known as Kurus. But when there were differences between the two families, the sons of Dhritarashtra were known as Kurus, whereas the sons of Pandu were known as Pandavas. Since the sons and grandsons of Dhritarashtra were all killed in the battle of Kurukshetra, the last son of the dynasty is designated as the son of the Kurus. Yadyapyastam brahmashiras svamogham cha pratikriyam vaishnavam teja asadya samasamyad bragudvaha. O Shaunaka, although the supreme Brahmastra weapon released by Ashwatthama was irresistible and without check or counteraction, it was neutralized and foiled when confronted by the strength of Vishnu, Lord Krishna. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita it is said that the Brahmajyoti, or the glowing transcendental effulgence, is resting on Lord Sri Krishna. In other words, the glowing effulgence known as Brahmatejas is nothing but the rays of the Lord, just as the sun rays are rays of the sun disk. So this Brahma weapon also, although materially irresistible, could not surpass the supreme strength of the Lord. The weapon called Brahmastra, released by Ashwatthama, was neutralized and foiled by Lord Sri Krishna by his own energy. That is to say, he did not wait for any other's help because he is absolute. Mamang sthaye tarascharya sarvascharya mayechute Yaidam maya devya srijatyavati hanyajaha. O Brahmanas, do not think this to be especially wonderful in the activities of the mysterious and infallible personality of Godhead. By his own transcendental energy, he maintains and annihilates all material things, although he himself is unborn. Purport. The activities of the Lord are always inconceivable to the tiny brain of the living entities. Nothing is impossible for the Supreme Lord, but all his actions are wonderful for us. And thus he is always beyond the range of our conceivable limits. The Lord is the all-powerful, all-perfect personality of Godhead. The Lord is cent% perfect, whereas others, namely Narayan, Brahma, Shiva, the demigods, and all other living beings, possesses only different percentages of such perfection. No one is equal to or greater than him. He is unrivaled. Brahmateja vinirmuktar atmajay saha krishnaya rayana bimukam krishnam idam maha pratasati. Thus saved from the radiation of the Brahmastra, Kunti, the chaste devotee of the Lord, and her 5 sons and Draupadi addressed Lord Krishna as he started for home. Purport. Kunti is described herein as sati, or chaste, due to her unalloyed devotion for Lord Sri Krishna. Her mind will now be expressed in the following prayers for Lord Krishna. A chaste devotee of the Lord does not look to others, namely any other living being or demigod, even for the deliverance from danger. Did I say sati earlier? I meant sita. Sorry, Hare Krishna. That was all along the characteristic of the whole family of the Pandavas. I'll read it again. A chaste devotee of the Lord does not look to others, namely any other living being or demigod, even for deliverance from danger. That was all along the characteristic of the whole family of the Pandavas. They knew nothing except Krishna, and therefore the Lord was also always ready to help them in all respects and in all circumstances. That is the transcendental nature of the Lord. He reciprocates the dependence of the devotee. One should not, therefore, look for help from imperfect living beings or demigods, but one should look for all help from Lord Krishna, who is competent to save his devotees. Such a chaste devotee also never asked the Lord for help, but the Lord, out of his own accord, is always anxious to render it. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gatara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gauda Premanande. We're going to end there. And tomorrow we're going to really start the prayers of Queen Kunti. So, Hare Krishna. We are open for any points, anything anybody wants to share, or you're welcome to share realizations from life in Krishna consciousness, how Krishna is interacting with you now, or what we are learning presently. Because they say, adversity is the Lord's university. Seeing the world as a classroom, and the events and things taking place around us are like our teachers also. We can see the Lord's hand in them. Hare Krishna. Bhakti Adam?
Is my voice hear me okay? Is there like too much weather?
It's a little hard to hear you from me, but it should be okay.
Okay, well, I should just one bit.
What's that?
That's good. Okay, I was in a car. I'm in a car. I just rolled up the windows. So, yeah, ever since that one day in that Hindu temple when I was eating prasadam and I couldn't breathe. I felt it was very purifying. I actually was completely I don't know if I can say I was completely surrendered, but I was totally I was starting to even relish the idea that I wasn't the controller and that it was like anyways what happened is I was eating this shalava and I had a my nose was stuffed stuffed to the brim. I couldn't breathe out of it at all. So I was trying to eat a halava like that. And if you can imagine halava, that's kind of yeah. Anyways, long story short, it was very, 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 very purifying because I had to eat the prasadam like you're supposed to eat the prasadam. It's show respect. And so I was forced into a position where it was like a forced austerity kind of, but it was also very purifying in like a really general way.
Prabhuji,
So
you're a very advanced soul. It's a good example of what exactly the point I was mentioning. You're able to perceive this experience of trying to eat halva with a stuffy nose is resulting in this realization of I'm not the controller. That's
bye
ecstatic.
bye
Well,
Navadis.
Navneet Prabhu is taking off. Hare Krishna. Thank you for tuning in, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Very well. Anyway, I think I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff like that for me. Like if I come up if another cool thing happens like that, I'll try to share it with you because it's always super nice. It actually like I left the Hindu temple really relishing Krishna. I told like I had to say something about it to the person I went with. I felt like so I was like, yeah, Krishna really he really purifies us. He really shows us what we want. Stuff like that. And he just didn't say anything.
Are you to a random person?
It was no, it was the person who took me there, Natesh, the same person who drove me to New Vrindavan for the first time.
Oh yeah,
Anyways, yeah.
very nice, Prabhuji. Yeah, it's inspiration too. Also, like if we're really trying to see, Krishna or Krishna's hand, or somehow we can move closer to Krishna. Krishna can reveal at any time in any way.
Yeah, I was really desperate for that. That's why I think that happened.
That's nice. Hare Krishna. Well, any other points? Yeah, I'm pretty tired myself. It was like a couple day marathon, and so I haven't slept properly and since what day was that? I think even Thursday I had a short night. I haven't slept properly since Wednesday in the evening, Wednesday night. So I'm starting to feel it. But the meetings were very enlivening here. So many nice devotees and such good association. Had some nice kirtans in the temple room in the morning. Guru Puja kirtans were ecstatic, and the prasadam was great. Yesterday I missed some of it. I drove to Athens and did home program at Dr. Raju's place, and then drove back and got to my house at around midnight. And then today, all day long, all the devotees were talking about how good the prasadam was last night. They're like, this is like, it was like almost everybody said it was like the best prasadam they had in their whole life. I was like, oh man, I didn't think I made a mistake, but Hare Krishna. Anyway,
Wow.
I felt like I was able to soak in some of the love and devotion from that prasadam just by being with the group anyway. But yeah, it sounded like something we really didn't want to miss, though.
That's nice.
Maybe there might be leftovers still if anybody's near New
Uh,
Vrindavan. There should be a lot of leftovers because they had double feast going and Hare Krishna. Anyway, yeah, and all the meetings and organization and leadership stuff was cool too. But I'm just kidding. It was wonderful, very inspiring. Yeah, I actually felt included and connected. It was like, wow, okay, like yeah, we're kind of we're in this together. It's cool. Anyway, so if there's no other points, I'll end it here. I have to make sure Kala
I
Prabhu
think
gets some
I, th-
prasad. Go ahead.
I think Krishna really wants me to get closer with him through my japa and through my daily activities. Like you know how it's like the thing you've been saying where like he takes away your ability. It's like he's doing that, and then he's also like with my ability, pretty much like hanging in the balance. He's then saying, "Come a little closer."
Yeah, I mean, in one way, it may be perceived as a test of where am I taking shelter, and another way,
Yeah,
Prabhuji, we need association. It's I'm seeing more
yeah,
and more and more like we're really not meant to do it by ourselves. So
yeah,
that is a factor. Just having
absolutely right.
some association instantly changes everything.
Yeah,
So that's also there. Even if we may be in a somewhat isolated situation, but if there's regular good association, that can be enough to carry us through. Otherwise, if we don't do that, it's like impossible.
right. That's like the groundwork for
Not
even taking a
totally.
shelter to begin with.
Right. So anyway, just offering words of encouragement,
You're awesome.
fighting the good fight.
Absolutely, you're so.
Hare Krishna. All right, Prabhuji's. We'll be here same time tomorrow, continuing on.
Okay.
So I hope everybody has a good evening. Thank you, Bhakta C, also for tuning in. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.